Hello Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli. Welcome to my January 2020 horoscope report for you. There is major upheaval afoot for you Libra friends, and you may have already been seeing this in the months leading up to January. Some of this is coming from the eclipses, some of this is coming from other transits, but this is a very powerful time to be a Libra. There is radical change at play, and discomfort is likely to occur. However, sometimes we need that discomfort in order to get out of a situation that is just okay and step into a situation that is amazing. So there could be a lot of that going on. So let's look at the chart here. I'm going to show you, not just tell you, but show you these planetary aspects at play and explain this complex web of change that is coming for Libra. Okay, so the first thing to note is that here, not pictured on the chart, is the lunar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer, and that's occurring on January 10th, but the time frame for activation of that energy is a couple months before, a couple of months after, and there's a storyline that's been at play for a couple of years since the middle of 2018. I go into a massive amount of detail about how this eclipse is likely to affect you based on its placement for all early, middle, and late degree placements. So I have it very detailed, segmented out as to where you are in the Libra placement, to how you're going to experience this. And I'm going to put that following this video. It's called January Lunar Eclipse for Libra, okay? But I'm going to speak to some of it now as we weave in all of these pieces, okay? So this eclipse is happening at 20 degrees, and that is making a 90-degree angle to Libra placements, okay? So 90-degree angles are challenging ones. They're difficult ones. They're the kind of ones that give you impetus and they give you pressure. So I won't sugarcoat anything for you, but at the same time, I'm an optimist, and after decades of watching these challenging aspects go by, my goal has been, how can you use these things for good and not just as something to dread? How can you welcome this type of energy instead of be worried about it? So 90-degree energy is like the energy it takes to create a diamond. So a diamond is created in the earth, underground, under a massive amount of pressure. And under that pressure, this beautiful sparkling gem is created. And then when it comes out of the earth, it has to be polished and it has to be fine-tuned in order for it to be its lustrous self. And that's the energy of the eclipse, but it's also the energy of all these Capricorn placements, okay? Because as the eclipse is making the 90-degree angle, the Capricorn placements are also making a 90-degree angle. So you're getting it from either end, basically, and change is the only option. So like I said, this doesn't have to be a bad thing. This can be like, gosh, the thing that you needed. Like I remember many, many years ago when I made the decision to change my life. I left my businesses. I left my longtime partner. I moved out to Sedona. I started everything all new. And what caused that was aspects like this in my chart and news that came in about a certain situation I was in that was terrible. And it was awful. And it was really bad. And it was not a fun time. However, I knew that I needed something like that in order to get out of this situation. And I got out of the situation, and everything has gelled in my life from making that choice and from that sequence of events. However, at the time that it was happening, it was really uncomfortable because everything certain was shaky, and changing. Everything that was happening, was new. And so it was exciting, but it was also, scary. So be excited about breaking out of your matrix. Be excited about having the impetus that you need to crack out of a situation that hasn't been good for you, or that you've just accepted bare minimum. If you've been in a situation where you're just rolling with the status quo, you don't want to rock any boats, a lot of times Libra energy wants to maintain harmony. So you're just kind of people-pleasing your way along. And this is the time where you've had enough, okay? And it also works out that this month, January, is the best month of the whole year to make a major decision, to make the break, to start a relationship, end a relationship, start a job, end a job, launch a business, make a move to a different geography, change friendship groups, like anything that is holding you back in your life, that you've had enough, that you're done settling. This 90-degree coming from either end angle energy is going to really, really come to make changes for you. So that is a lot of the storyline of what's happening. Now, as the month progresses, and by the way, all the things I'm talking about are true for all Libra placements. This, sometimes if it's necessary, I'll differentiate out depending on where you're at in the sign. This reading, this energy is for all of you. So what's going to happen, and you've got a sprinkle of it starting at the beginning of the month, and this actually started kind of in December, is that as this Aquarius energy is sprinkling in, that's going to bring back some harmony, bring back some peace, bring back, a new norm where you're starting to get a little comfortable and with the changes. So Venus is going to get there, or Venus is there this month. The Sun's going to get there this month. Mercury's going to follow along. And as those planets move out of that Capricorn angle, the changes that occurred, the news that happened, the powerful, life-altering experiences that have occurred might start to hit a stride. This month is also incredibly important because Saturn and Pluto are getting together for the first time in 34 years. This is really, really rare. And this is all happening, and also you notice all this other energy in Libra's home sector. And again, this is true for early, middle, and late degree placements. When I look at the chart for all three areas, this fourth house is being lit up like crazy. So anything, and these things you've been putting up with might have been involving a home situation, a real estate situation, a family situation. Something else to note as well is that, and this is always so important, because the astrology without self-development, in my mind, is really limited. If we can use astrology to fuel our self-development, then we can really get the best of all of it. But when you have aggravating aspects like the 90-degree angles, what they're doing is they're bringing to your consciousness, to your awareness, things that were unconscious or under the surface. They were there all along. It's just these angles bring them up to be dealt with. So anytime there's disharmonious angles in the sky, either through these big, monster Saturn and Pluto, alignments, or whether it's through just the personal planets breezing through to different signs every month, more lightly hitting those angles, it's looking for weakness. It's looking for things unresolved. It's seeking to improve. I believe we live in a benevolent universe, and that the things that seem to be working against us are actually working for us, especially if we can speak that language, get on that page, and use the energy for that. So the questions to ask for you in order to make the most of this, if you are just sick of these patterns and sick of the things that are going on and sick from it, you might even be physically ill from these things, look at the patterns as they've related over your life. Maybe you're in a tough relationship. Were your parents in a tough relationship? Were you in previous tough relationships? In many cases, those answers are going to be all, yes, the same. It came from somewhere. It got imprinted. There are other things that go on, but this is a storyline that I see time and time again. So, and I'm specifically pointing this out this month because this fourth house not only rules home and family and real estate, and by the way, this is an amazing month to buy real estate. It's an amazing month to sell real estate. So if you're looking to do something like that, if you need to get a loan or anything like that, this is really great time for this. And again, like even getting a loan to get a house is a royal pain, but you go through all the work, you get the house, and then you hit the stride. That's kind of like, what we're trying to do here. So anyway, what I was saying about the fourth house is that this is also the house of your childhood experience, your inner world, your emotional state, your emotional space. And notice that in general, the energy of the fourth house makes a 90-degree angle to Libra. Why? Because Libra energy, there are multiple reasons why, but Libra energy is a mental energy. It's in this headspace. It thinks, it talks, it has these ideas. And the fourth house is the emotional space. And emotions and thoughts don't always play well together. And so when the emotions and the thoughts have a discord or disconnect, that's a conflict. And that happens a lot for Libras. And that's part of why this emotional time is going to bring challenges. But if you go in and do a deep dive into that emotional space using tools that work, like EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, look it up. There's tons of free information. You know, the Presence Process by Michael Brown, you know, any inner work that helps you to shift your vibrational matching inside to have the things you want outside. Those are really critical at this time because the universe is showing up the places where you haven't done that yet and where you are going to keep having trouble unless you actually integrate these pieces of yourself. So, while it will be uncomfortable and while upheaval is very likely, it's still a really a time of very positive potential, but the positive potential is coming from the challenge, okay? But don't be afraid of the challenge. Again, the other thing at play here is spiritual principles. There are spiritual principles that rule our experience, and those spiritual principles get tested when we have these type of aspects. So, emotional security, financial security, relationship security, the energy of security is also ruled by this fourth house that has so much activity and has this challenging angle. When we put our happiness and our feeling of security in something outside of ourselves or something in this ever-changing, crazy, spinning earth, then we inevitably are not going to feel very good because these things are moving targets. We have to get our happiness from inside of ourselves. So if your issue is money, if your issue is love, whatever it is that's coming up, the more you can solidify your relationship with spirit, which is also your inner self, which is also the universe, which is all the same things, this holographic reality, the more you can know that your money doesn't come from your job, it comes from spirit. Your love doesn't come from relationship, it comes from spirit. Then you can attract to you all of those things because you're not looking for them and repelling them. You know, do a little experiment and just when you're sitting outside watching people, maybe if you're eating, watch their body language. I do this all the time. This is fascinating to me. And you can see, right? You can see what's going on in a conversation for the most part. Okay, so if somebody is like here and somebody is like going like this, then what happens? This person kind of backs off, right? And if they're like this and this person kind of backs off. Well, if we're chasing something, these laws of the universe are really simple. If we're chasing something, we need it, we have to have it, it keeps backing away to show us that you're fine, you're centered in yourself, and then all the things can come and be attracted to that space. So those are really major lessons and really major missions for this month. But the more you solidify those, they're yours. They're yours forever. So I love this month for you for that. I love this month for you for launches because or anything important, big decisions, moves, things like that, because once we get into February, the whole rest of 2020 is going to be in retrograde of personal planets. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a more murky time, a more internal time, a more time to go back over things and work with things from the past rather than a lot of new stuff. Unless it happens to come to you, then you can embrace it. So all of that is going to be really critical this month to make the changes that are necessary so that you can use the momentum that you have this month. This Pluto-Saturn conjunction that happens only once every 34 years is very likely going to bring some major manifestation. The challenging side to that could bring, the energy of death, which is either figurative or literal. There are going to be certain situations where this Plutonian energy could have like mortality questioned or someone around you or something going on with that or somebody passing. That's not the only way it manifests. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen because I don't know what's going to happen and it's going to be different for everybody. But when Pluto is activated by Saturn, which is, somber and serious, and this is all happening in, Capricorn, which is somber and serious and final, has this energy of finality, some people are going to have some blessings that come from news that's not as great. So in situations like this, I always say just try to be right with everybody in your life, just in the event that there's, it goes a literal way. But in most cases, it will go in a figurative way, like something has to end, something dies so that something new can come. So a lot of major endings, a lot of major new beginnings. So buckle up, it's going to be a wild ride. Be ready for changes and stay really focused on the things that you want so that spirit can hear you, so that as all this stuff shuffles down, you have your intentions out there and it can help to direct how they manifest. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. If you love how I teach and you want to learn, you can check out my Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery course, which will teach you everything you need to know to be a professional astrologer and how to do really well with that financially. I also have a course called Secrets of a Six-Figure Consultant that will help you to be geographically and financially free, especially if you're in certain divisions of work, which and actually the principles can be used for many different lines of work, but there are certain areas I focus on in there. So you can check that out at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you'd love to clear karma and live in your purpose, I have a new reading with that name that you can also see at anniehelpsyou.com. If you want written horoscopes by me, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. Both of these links are underneath the video. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, I write horoscopes 1 month early for each sign. I have astrology for wellness and all kinds of other happy, healthy living blog headers. Also, claim your free 28-day virtual coaching access to my program called Shine. I have a program called Shine where you can have this virtual coaching program right into your inbox when you sign up for my free email newsletter, which also gets you a write-up in your inbox 1 month early of the exact aspects that will happen on the exact days and what you can expect from those. So you can see all that at anniehelpsyou.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.